Melody Chong, the machine, chronological age 48, lowest female age is 35 on the Longevity World Cup, and number 2 in the Gen X Women's League. So, why are you called the machine?
Yeah, I'm surprised you got to know of my moniker. But I guess because I'm always like, pushing myself pretty hard, like during my gym workouts. And I definitely aim to go, as the gym calls it, the RX weight. So I'll go as fast as possible. And I think usually I score pretty good, among like the rest of the team. So they know that I go on without stopping most of the time. I don't really take breaks in between, not even a water break. To them, they feel like, that's a machine without needing any rest.
And who are these people? I've been noticing there is some Singaporean clique out there. I, I've been trying to get Tiat Lim for a very long time on the show, but he always finds some excuses. I think he's a perfectionist, you know? He's always like, okay, when the update is coming, when this is happening. But tell me about, so what's going on there, because I see you guys are involved in a lot of things like X Prize and stuff like that.
Yeah, so how I really got involved is really through Tiet, because Tiet is the one who got me to know about, the de-aging process, biomarkers, getting myself measured, in terms of all the various like biomarkers. So I really got into it through him, and I follow, their workout regimen quite rigorously. I'd say like on a daily basis. So for me, my routine is every morning I'll join them for the workouts, and every day it's focused on a different body part. So it's a 1 hour workout, but we have about 40 minutes of strength training, and then followed by a high intensity cardiovascular based workout. So kind of like a short, high intensity cardio circuit. So I do that every day, and I follow pretty much close to what we call the RX weight, which is the highest weight that you can do or that's given to us for any given day. And to meet the RX weight, we also have a time cap. So I follow that throughout every morning, and I feel that that plus diet, I don't have as rigorous a diet as Tiet does, but I do keep to as healthy, clean a diet as I can myself. And sleep is also very important. So I've been working on that in terms of getting at least 8 hours, or if not seven at least. So I feel that all these three factors have played a really important role, and I have to give it to Tiet and also Yan, his sister, for coming out with a workout program that has given me that routine to follow, and also knowing that it has worked for my body, especially when I go for the measurements. I do it about twice a year, and we do measure all the biomarkers and also take note of, say, additional, uh, kind of additional stats for the body, like vitamin D levels, some of the blood work that we do is also beyond just to check, how much we've improved based on, our routine, our workout, our diet, nutrition and exercise is very important for, definitely keeping that age.
I believe Tia developed something called BEAT, which is a bunch of biomarkers, a score of a bunch of biomarkers like VO2 max, blood test, DEXA, everything that you can think of. Are you doing that?
Yeah, so I do most of it. I say I haven't done the VO2 max, but we've done the DEXA scans, we've done the arterial age scans. I'd say I've done most of them, which helps me to also see where I stand in terms of like age rankings, in comparison to other people in my age group, and how A scores have been on a younger age group. I belong to a younger age group from the results. So it definitely motivates me to keep up what I do and of course to also improve on my current scores. But at least when I do all these tests, I can see where I'm at, where I've improved, where I still need improvement. It actually makes me excited also to work out, to keep out what I do or like to improve on weights, like trying to do heavier weights maybe.
All right, all right. There is something I've been thinking of. So this is happening in Singapore, right? And you are right now in the US West Coast.
Yes, that's right.
How so?
Yeah, I like that I am able to maintain the current routine that I have, with FitRx Remote. So that has been programmed by Yen, that's Tiet's sister. And she has videos, and also like the workout of the day, like posted on Instagram or Facebook. And I just have to click on it on a daily basis to see what the workout of the day is, like the movements for the strength and conditioning, and then like the what for the day. So I still follow that, even though I'm doing the workout on my own, but I'm very familiar with most of the movements, or there's the videos that would be able to, the Yen demonstrates for me to see, or whoever else is doing it remotely. And then the workout of the day, it's usually about 10 to 15 minutes, like after the strength and conditioning. So I usually remember what the movements are, time myself, and I like that we are held accountable in the sense that, there's a score, kind of a scoreboard in Singapore that they write down everybody's timing and weights. And at the end of the day, they will send it to the group chat. Like we have a group chat on WhatsApp to know everybody's scores, weights. So in a way, it kind of gives it a bit of a competitive feel. So even though I do it like at a different time zone, so I always work out like the day before. Like if it's a Tuesday workout, I do it on the Monday, so that I can be at the same time when I post my scores for them. So it's kind of nice that, my name is still on that scoreboard, like when they post it the next day. So will see everybody's timings and weights and all. So in a way, I still feel accountable. I still feel part of the team, even though I'm not, physically in Singapore, but I still keep it up back here in the US.
Have you been working out all your life?
Yes, actually, I would say that I've been an athlete. So, that has instilled that kind of level of fitness, competition. And I say a lot of that willpower and discipline probably comes from my days as a competitive athlete. So even since, I'd say primary school days, which is like elementary school, I've always been running. So my dad realized that, I've like running, and he kind of like coached me for a bit in my later years. And I went to like high school. My mom actually found me a coach, a professional of coach for me to continue my running. They saw that I have capabilities of doing it competitively and that I enjoy it. So I became a competitive school runner back in high school. And my coach got me to switch from 100 and 200 meter sprints to middle distance, like 400, 800. He said that you have a better chance, getting top place or at least top three, because most girls wouldn't want to do the 400 meters. So I thought, I'll switch to 200 and 400. So I had my glory days then where I was like always getting first in 400 meters for like national competitions in Singapore. So that was a period of my reign, which I'm proud of, of 400 meters, just because most girls don't want to do the 400 meters. It's not as, glorious as 100 meters, So I've already started doing a lot of that training, competitive workouts, like from my high school days, where it's a few times a week after school. I'll be like training on the track in the heat and the hot sun and humidity in Singapore. So I'd say those were my days where, I've already been in that fitness level, fitness zone. And after I stopped and moved on to university overseas, I continued on not so much competitive level, but I decided to do more on a recreation basis. So I was more of just jogging, long distance running. I started being interested in doing new sports. I've always had the interest to try out new sports. So it could be like I've not tried wakeboarding, I'll try wakeboarding, or I started doing triathlons. There are phases of different sports that I try out. There was a phase of like doing a lot of running where I do all those long distance running, join all those. I did a marathon once, or I will do like Singapore always organizes a lot of these running meets or long distance running, and I'll go for that. But after a while, I got bored because, in Singapore, it's small. There's only so many routes you can do, and so much of the island that you get to run, in nature or wherever it is. And I thought, you know what, I'll try something else like triathlons. So that also lasted for a bit. And then the next phase was Spartan racing. So I thought, like, oh, that's so fun, right? You get to do obstacle courses. I've never done that before. So I decided to do some training that's more specific for it, like functional training. Because I never really worked so much of my upper body. I was always focused on the legs. So, running, jogging, whether it's triathlons, it's all mostly lower body. And I figured that if I want to do the monkey bars, I want to climb ropes, I need to work on my upper body. So that's really when I started working out for functional movements based on like upper body movements. And I had a lot of fun, I'd say, in Spartan racing. It's with a team, with a group of friends then. But there were other kinds of obstacle course racing that I tried. Viper, that's in Malaysia. So I've always wanted to try Tough Mudder, but I didn't get to. But yeah, I did all the Spartan race categories. Like they have the sprint, the super, and the beast. And I realized that once I started working out more on upper body, it really helped in terms of doing all those obstacle courses. So that was my space of Spartan racing. After that, I moved on to more of just, I wouldn't say CrossFit, but I started focusing more on strength conditioning. I wouldn't say I've really done a lot of competitions recently, even though I've been asked to do High Rocks, which is the latest phase of team or individual competitions. I'll see. I'll consider that, but for now, I'm pretty happy like keeping up with my routine of strength conditioning and workout of the day daily. Yeah. Oh, there was a phase. I did also a lot of yoga, to complement what I do in terms of the high intensity workouts. I haven't been able to do as much, but I still do a lot of mobility and stretching because I feel that's very important for my joints. After having been an athlete for a long time, my knee has definitely taken the pounding. There's been a lot of impact. So I definitely try to do more mobility workout exercises and stretching, whether it's pre workouts or post workouts or in between. Yeah. So yeah, I'd say I've been in fitness for a long time. To answer your question.
Yeah, that's my impression. I get the my life is a fitness journey vibe from you. Just to mention that I can see that on your social media that you can do all kinds of crazy balancing poses as well, and the split and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You said you did not do any competition lately, but you're doing the Longevity World Cup, right? So I've been wondering, do you think about longevity as a sport? It's a completely new sport being developed from zero and coming up. So have you ever thought about it this way?
Yeah, I actually am excited about it because like it's one of those competitions where you want to win, and if you win, basically it's like being able to live longer and healthier at the same time. So for me to be a part of this challenge, I'm all for it. I'm all for like, improving on my current standing. Initially, I guess there was a smaller pool, so I was like, woohoo, top 10. And now I'm like number 20. But it inspires me from, hearing from all these other challenges of people taking part in it, or the ways to like, improve and I'm also curious to see what I can tweak in my current lifestyle to better improve on my biomarkers. Because we always feel like, oh, we're already doing all that we think is good. But so what else is there to kind of improve on the current biomarkers that we have? I mean, one thing for me, I'm a pescatarian, so I don't take like meats. I take more of like fish and seafood, and it's more of a personal choice. It's not really religion or anything else. It's more of like it's already been like since 2011, so more than like 14 years. Yeah. And it was more of like, just trying out than like being a pescatarian when I became a health coach. And I generally don't really eat a lot of meat to begin with. So it wasn't so difficult to like, cut off meat. And I just got used to it. I feel better, in terms of my body. I don't feel so lethargic, I feel just more energy not having like meat. I know there are a lot of people who would say that, hey, you need your meat for your protein. I've also been working on my protein intake because that I definitely take note that, it's probably not enough from my current diet. So I do add on protein shakes now. Even though I'm lactose intolerant, I'll do the whey isolate, or I'll try to still take some dairy, even though I don't take all kinds of dairy, just to improve on like, protein, calcium, vitamin D levels. Yeah, I'd say that all definitely counts in, wanting to improve on my current like biomarkers. This is a part of the competition, right? How do you do better? How do you improve on your standing? So all these are part of like how we can build towards like increasing longevity. I mean, like looking at, the results. I'm very excited for this competition, and yeah, you're right. This is a current competition that I'd rather be in now because the outcome, the results, I mean, it's gonna be like so much more benefits because you want to improve the health span, not just the lifespan of yourself.
Yeah, it's just kind of a different goal than, putting a ball into a basket versus, being healthier, which is the ultimate goal of such a competition. So we'll see where it goes. You talked about your diet, but I'm wondering, are you supplementing with anything?
Yeah, no, I wish I have more exciting supplementation to share with you about. I know I've been actually taking more vitamin D because that's another thing that I found out in the results. I'm actually low on vitamin D. So even though I mean, at least in Singapore I do go out often in the sun, but it's still not enough. I do take vitamin D supplements. So I do take some multivitamins for, specifically for women now as well. But to be honest, I've not ever believed in any of it. Like, supplementation, even like protein shakes. I was one of the stereotypical views of like, oh, protein shakes is gonna make me bulky. It's only for bodybuilders, people who lift super heavy weights. But since taking it like, let's say, coming to maybe a year, I feel like, yeah, it's definitely beneficial. It'll definitely help me. I'm not like bulking up like, I feel it. The supplementation, I realized like, yeah, I mean, if I'm not getting enough of vitamin D, then obviously I need to, take additional supplements and multivites as well. So I mean, now I'm starting to incorporate more of like these vitamins and supplements, but I am always pretty picky about, selecting the really natural ones and well-reviewed supplements. Because I want to make sure that what I'm putting in my body is also going to be like, of benefit and not just randomly taking all kinds of supplements. So yes, I say that I've been slowly taking or opening up to the idea of taking supplementation instead of just relying on my, diet and getting it from Whole Foods.
Well, that's the sensible approach. Definitely much better than what I'm doing, which is always rolling a dice, kicking. Let me ask you a couple of questions because I'm personally interested in. I actually lived in Singapore for a month and lived in Beijing for a month. Lived in Taiwan for 5 years. So I've been I've been pretty familiar with the countries around there, and I've seen people do things differently regarding diet and exercise, and I created a couple of notes of what strange things I've seen, and I want you to explain these things to me. Well, or explain what's your take on them. First of all, it's not even strange, but I'm really big on the mustache things ever since I lived in Taiwan. it's, you're walking on the street and you can just go on a massage. I guess now you live in the US. I haven't been in the US, but I suspect it's kind of like Europe, that you can't find massage that easily. Like you go in and, oh no, have an appointment or something like that. It's not that available, like in Asia. So are you big on massage and or not?
Yeah, so I am actually into massage, but I won't say I do it regularly. And maybe it's also because I've read, like, whether it's from studies or articles or research, that massages are only temporary in terms of, like, relieving your aches or strains. And I feel like what I do now, which is like daily mobility, and stretching, that has played, I feel, an important role in maintaining my muscles, not getting overstrained or like just loosening them up after, high intensity workouts. I feel massages feel good for sure, like, after the day after, but in terms of how long they'll last, and whether, it would help in the long run, I don't think it's enough. I mean, you could do it like regularly, but I feel like you still need to do your own mobility and stretching. And of course, I enjoy a deep tissue sports massage every now and then, but I won't rely on it for, like, my muscle strains and loosening up, and even for the muscle aches. I'd say that because also I've gone to see a physio for like knee issues, or like, say, the body part issues, and my physiotherapist would always give me exercises to do as homework, and I feel that that has been more beneficial than just going for a massage. So I don't dismiss massage at all. No, I mean, I still do it too, but I feel like, you can't just go for massages alone in order to kind of relax your body. I feel like you also have to do your own mobility and stretching.
Yeah, I personally did not experience any benefits other than the pleasure and the relaxing, right? Nothing else from other people massaging me. But I become big on self massaging with all kinds of balls and tools and stuff like that. Even here, just here, I have a bunch of self massage
Yeah.
tools. Just
Yeah. Hey, I should show you mine. I didn't bring it out, but I have the small ball and the small mini roller. And
yeah.
it's great because it's very portable, and I can use it for travel also. Like, just throw it into my bag, which I always do it in my carry on, and I can use it anytime.
The balls are the best. But what I noticed is that I can actually make meaningful improvements on myself with these little tools, because I can feel myself where pushing is relevant. And when I find a point where pushing or massaging it is relevant, I just massage it out. Another thing that you said is that the stretching part. You see, that's one thing that I've only seen in Singapore. I've only experienced in Singapore, which was someone stretching you out, and these stretchers are just as available, not just as, almost as available there as in massages. So that was pretty good in Singapore, because I just went in a place and I didn't even have to stretch myself. They were stretching me. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Was it Dr. Stretch? Because I know I've heard of.
Dr. Stretch, that was it.
Yeah,
Friend.
I've seen that, but I haven't tried it.
Anyway, let's continue with the strangeness. I know it was these things were not strange, but let's get into the strangeness. So, the number one supplement that I have noticed that everyone is eager to offer advice on is hot water. Why do people want in that part of the world you to drink hot water?
Yeah, that one is new to me. I
It's
I don't
new.
really know. Yeah, maybe in some ways, like, the Chinese believe hot is good for the body and cold is not good, because you want to keep your body warm in order to have strong immunity. Because whenever you're cold, means that you're more likely to get, I don't know, contract, like, germs or viruses, because your body is like not in the right temperature. And Chinese always believe in having hot stuff, like hot soup. My mom has always and still doesn't believe in having cold breakfast or like, cold foods. Like she's not so much into salads and stuff. She likes stuff cooked and hot. And even like soup, I feel like it's warm enough. She's like, no, it has to be piping hot. It's gotta have steam. And it's like burn your lips and tongue. I'm like, I don't understand that concept of being so hot. Yeah, now that you put it in the sense of like how you see that in Asian or Chinese countries, maybe that's that relation where, they like to have more of hot or warm stuff like food or liquids. But I wouldn't really say it's just for specific for workouts or like I wouldn't really do it for workouts though. I mean lukewarm maybe, but not like hot.
Well, there is one thing we know that hot water removes most of the microplastics if you heat it up. Now let's move on to moving things. I've noticed there are a lot of body tapping movements in, you just see what people in the parks and they are tapping their body, or I don't even know how to say, but they are shaking their limbs like, yeah, what are these things about? Or walking backwards. That's big as well.
Yeah, do you see this in Singapore? Or you saw it in
I think mostly in Taiwan. Singapore is more of a big city, right?
Yeah. I mean, now and then maybe I've seen like what you described, like some older folks doing that kind of like beating, tapping. I think there was once, yeah, I was trying not to laugh, but I was pretty amused by an older gentleman that was just whacking himself and like, I don't know, do they also make noises when they do that? Because I think this guy
I
like
don't
was
know.
making noises. I mean, I personally don't know how that would benefit, but maybe it's a good release for people who are doing it. Yeah, maybe it's a way to get the tension out of their bodies. I mean, I've also seen like how some whether it's instructors or coaches or I've seen on Instagram how there are some of them who prefer to do all this mobility movements and instead just move free, kind of like loosen up your body. It's better than just doing static stretching. They feel like movement helps with warm up, like, before workouts. So, I mean, sometimes I do, relax myself in terms of warm ups, before working out, loosen up the body. But I won't say that I would really be doing that like all the time, beating myself.
So one thing that I really liked is in Taiwan there was a massage place in Kaohsiung that I went very often, and at the end they were always like doing these stopping movements in my foot, right? But there were many massage chairs next to each other, so it was quite often that many patients, many clients got to the end of their massage at the same time. And whenever that happened, they were doing the tapping, but they were like playing in a band, like a core of tapping musicians, doing the tapping together.
That's funny. I mean, yeah, it sounds like a musical.
Experience. Yeah. All right. So you're not really big on these things anyway. Maybe.
I mean, I know
Maybe
how
if
to reflexology, but I don't know of any musical tapping going on.
Anyway, we talked a lot about training, but we did not talk much about you. What's the story of your life?
Story in my life in terms of fitness.
No, including whatever is the most significant.
To be honest, my life has revolved a lot around fitness. So even the work that I do now, I am actually a freelance PR consultant. So I handle media relations for my clients, getting them as much publicity and coverage for their respective products or services. My focus is on health, wellness related clients. So it could be like the medical field, like doctors, all the way to like, fitness, like gyms or like healthy food options. So work wise, I'm also still involved in like fitness and wellness when I do the pitching for my clients. And yeah, I mean, being out here in the US, I really value the opportunity to be out in nature. So like we were just up in the mountains in Tahoe like over the weekend, got to do some jogging and there's still snow around. Yeah, so I mean, even in my free time, that's what I'm saying, like on weekends, time spent with friends. Usually I like to go with them on hikes. anything that is kind of activity related. It's hard for me to just sit on the couch and watch TV and movies. So I like to be on the move, like out and about, most of the time on a daily basis. But of course, when I'm working with clients, yeah, I do set aside an afternoon to do my emails and respond to any kind of work related issues. But yeah, I think everything around my life still involves fitness and wellness. Even on a daily basis.
Just what about Singapore? If I recall, it's a pretty new place in a sense that maybe in your lifetime you have witnessed the progress firsthand that the places are become bigger and bigger and higher and everything gets more advanced. Can you talk about that? How did you experience that pace of progress not many of us have seen?
Yeah, I mean, Singapore, for me, because I spent a few months here in the US where my husband is, and then I go back, and there's always changes for sure. Like, the roads change. I'm like, okay, I need to reorientate myself, or there's new buildings. There's always new places opening, whether it's dining, gyms, or fitness. But I appreciate Singapore is like, it's thriving in a sense of like, trying to be, up to speed with uh whatever that's happening around the world. So whatever offerings, whether it's like fitness, tech, they try to keep up to date as much as possible. So I mean like being part of this longevity competition too. It's kind of cool to see how Singaporeans have come to take part in it as well. Yeah, really thanks to Tiet because I wouldn't have known him not for him. But yeah, I mean I appreciate Singapore is trying to like even though it's small, it's trying to make itself like also be a part of whatever that's trending around the globe. The latest in fitness, I mean, they try to instill that as much as possible. I mean, being here in the US and Singapore, I feel like, yeah, it's not too far off, in terms of catching up on some of these fitness trends as well. But in terms of like city, yeah, I appreciate it. Singapore, it's always a clean, tidy, organized place to get home to.
You see, one thing that I've experienced, and I'm not sure this is a universal experience, but you could tell me that in Singapore there are many places where restaurants where you can buy food, but I generally found these places much less healthy options. So you really have to seek out if you don't wanna just eat a hamburger. Maybe it's the same in the US, I'm not sure. I haven't really been in that part of the world. But let's say in Taiwan, you can really often just go into any place and eat a lot of vegetables and stuff, and that's good. But in Singapore, I found it more difficult. Is that just my experience, or that's how it is?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, eating out in Singapore is not so easy to always get healthy without having to pay more, especially when you go to the hawker center, the food courts. I mean, the majority, yes, it's not, the healthiest of foods because it can be pretty oily or fried. But there are options which is more of soup based or also vegetables. They have this dish called yong tau fu, which is like basically tofu and veggie options that you pick, and then you choose whichever ones you want to put in your soup base, whether it's dry or noodles. So I feel it's really individual options that speak whether it's healthy or not. Because if you do the non-fried tofu items, and the vegetables, and you have the soup base, that's healthier than if you choose all those fried items, to put in your soup base, or you have it dry with like lots of gravy. So then it becomes unhealthy. So whatever you choose can either be healthy or unhealthy. And then there's also the fish soup noodles, the sliced fish, or you can have fried fish. So I mean, if you have your fried fish with your noodle soup, that's definitely not going to be as healthy as having your sliced non-fried fish in your noodle soup. So I feel Singapore, even though yes, what you see is more of unhealthy stuff, but there are options where you can choose to be healthier. It's just making the right choices. Yeah, it's not always having to just have salads too. There are healthier cook options, out there. Even though I'd say Singapore has a good variety of healthy options at restaurants, it's just a matter of like what you choose on the menu, what you order. It could be a grilled fish or you have like a fried fish. So I do eat out in Singapore, and I do find that there are these options there that you can choose to be healthier, even though it has a spread of yummy. I don't know if you tried char kway teow or like laksa, these kind of local food. It's definitely not the healthiest, but I mean, it's out there, and obviously, like if you do it once in a while, it's okay as long as you don't do it all the time. But yeah, I say Singapore still has its healthier choices. It's just a matter of like how you decide or opt for your food choices.
Now that you mentioned the Hakka Center, I actually found it difficult to navigate myself regarding the fish options. That's I'm always afraid to get them because I like fish, but it's very often they make it really not well. So I tend to just not get any fish.
What about the fish balls? Do you try fish ball noodles? That's also
Yeah, I like those, but are they even healthy? I could never figure that out.
Yeah, I always feel like it depends because some places or some stalls they really grind the fish meat, and make it into fish balls, right? But there are others that obviously like, our costs or, consideration for ingredients. They mix a bit of the fish paste together with like maybe flour. So you don't really get the full like fish nutrition, and then it turns out to be more processed, right? So it's not
Mhm.
exactly the healthiest if you're having processed food all the time.
Yeah, but these are great.
Yeah, I know. But in terms of like, yeah, fish ball, noodle soup, and dry, it's gonna be different too.
Before we would conclude, I'd like you to give advice to the listeners. Pitch one small thing that people can do that makes a difference. So it cannot be workout regularly because that's not small thing. You have to like that's really difficult, right? Or sleep well. Like you have to engineer your entire life around sleeping to sleep well. So some small things that can make a difference.
I'd say the biggest one is just move. Don't just sit all the time. Don't give an excuse like, you're at your desk, you're too busy, you gotta work, and it's always answering work, emails, whatever it is. I mean, move is just one simple word. It could be like instead of taking the elevator to your office in the building, you could walk up stairs. Maybe not all the way, like if it's 11 stories or something, but at least maybe, do like a flight or two, and try to improve like each time, like maybe a flight or two in the beginning, and then, take the lift up to the rest of the floors. Or it could be like, instead of always driving to work, you could maybe park somewhere a little further and walk some of the distance. So it doesn't have to be like a big movement to start with, but, all these small steps count, whether it's like walking a little more, taking the stairs a little bit, especially like, public transportation too. Even for me, I would still take stairs instead of waiting in line to use the escalator. And so I feel like a lot of this can be done on your day-to-day basis. You don't need to spend extra time. It's just taking that part of your hours. Like it could be, I don't know, 15 minutes would still make a difference rather than 0 minutes. So to me, movement, I feel is very important.
What's one thing that you strongly believe to be the case, but very few people agree with you on?
But that definitely needs a bit of a thinker. So most people would not believe like what I believe. I mean, before I would have said supplements, but now I take supplements. I guess I have to blame Tiet for like converting a lot of like some of my previous strong beliefs. I guess one controversial one would be like my diet. I mean, I'm sure that there's a portion of people who would think that pescatarian diet is good enough, like sufficient, but to a lot of people, like having just fish, seafood is not enough to have a good body profile and that you need meat. I mean, would you say that that would be a contrasting view? Like, oh,
I think it could be in general. So, for example, I'm a huge meat eater, but while doing these interviews, I noticed that people talking about correlations between a heavy veggies, heavy even fish diet, then and if you have a lot of meat in your diet, then these don't really correlate that well, or they have negative correlations with these biological aging clocks. I don't know if it's just the zeitgeist or they are onto something. I hope they are all wrong about that because I like meat, but you see, I noticed this at least.
yeah. Because the tiet is totally not for, just a fish diet of pescatarian. So that's one thing that he feels strongly about is like you, as a human, we're omnivores. We need our meats. So, I mean, that has been probably the biggest difference in terms of like, being with this bespoke fitness. I mean, part of Tiet's team is that, I still keep to having this pescatarian diet. But for him, he strongly believes that you need meat in your diet to really also extend your longevity and also improve on biomarkers. So, I mean, to be honest, I've toyed with the idea of like, okay, whether I might incorporate a bit of meat again, like chicken, and whether to experiment with my body to see if it really makes a difference in terms of like how my biomarkers might change. That's one thing I feel like it may be possible just to experiment because like I'm not sure if keeping to whatever I'm doing the same. Obviously, I might not change much of like how I see my biomarker results. So maybe I need to do something a little more, in addition to what I'm doing to see if there's any improvement. But yeah, I mean, I've been on this pescatarian diet since let's say 2013, around there. So it's already been like 12 years. So I mean, it'd be interesting if I were to try to experiment my body to see whether there's gonna be any changes. But yeah, I'd say that probably is my most contrasting view. I mean, in terms of like how people always say, "Are you sure you can just go on a pescatarian diet and get like strong or fit or get build your muscles?"
So I'm a huge meat eater, but seriously, is there really anything else in meat than protein? Like there isn't nothing. It's just protein. So if you have your protein in other sources, and it's always the catch, right? Because they tend to not have that protein. But if you have, then you don't really need the meat.
Yeah, I think it's because like meat has a certain protein profile, like in terms of the amino acids, you get all the main.
Or you do whey protein, right? And that's
Yeah.
much better.
Yeah, so I do like this the way isolate. But then in terms of like iron, like or like other forms of minerals that you can only get mainly from meat. Like say iron, maybe you have to take spinach in place, but you have to take tons and tons of spinach compared to like the portion of meat. So I say certain minerals that is found in meat may not always be found in other protein substitutes. So that's the thing of like trying to understand, explore more of. I think in meat there's another mineral which I just can't remember right now, but supposedly you can't get it from any other protein substitutes except red meat.
Mhm.
So you need to take it in the right portions and quantity, not overdo it.
You see, that's you can always take supplements, but you just said something interesting about the iron there because when I started the Longevity World Cup, I was in Prospera, which is a free city in Honduras, right? Honduras is a developing country. And there, the first 10 people I tested, when the results started to come in, I noticed that I think their MCV were too low and their red cell distribution width was too high. And I was like, okay, so I was researching what's going on here. And this might be just iron deficiency. This person is vegetarian. This guy is following Brian Johnson's diet. So, Pretty much the same. So I was prescribing steak for everyone for tonight. But it turns out the laboratory was making a mistake because 10 people came back with iron deficiency. The restaurant was very happy for me sending them the people, but the laboratory just messed up completely the first 10 people's tests. But what the thing is that you've been wondering what you can improve. Well, I don't know if you've tested your iron because maybe that's what you can improve.
Yeah.
You can check it.
Yeah, I'm actually interested to see how I can check on my iron levels too. Because I don't think yeah, I tried to look in a blood report, but I don't think it actually is specified in there.
Yeah, it's you have to ask for it. Finally, do you have anything to that you're selling, maybe consultations, or is there anything you would like to point our viewers' attention towards to check out?
My services would be like I mentioned, like, I do independent freelance consulting for clients in the health, fitness, wellness space. Yeah, they can reach me on my Instagram, the Pescatarian Yogi, or I have an email, Melody at Melody Chong. I mean, most of my clients are based in Singapore, and I still work mostly with the Singapore-based clients, getting media outreach within Singapore. So not so much outside Singapore yet, but I've slowly, covered the regional. But right now, it's mostly clients, whether they're from the US, Australia, that has set up their business in Singapore and needs help with getting the word out on their product and services. So that's my specialty right now. And if people are, planning to set up something in Singapore or wanting to have that outreach to the media and the public in Singapore, it's definitely my forte in health, fitness, and wellness.
Melody Chong, the machine, the first of the Singaporean group of superhumans, but hopefully won't be the last. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much, Adam, for having me.